What's going on, guys? Play by Play Game here, back with another Epic 7 video, and today we're trying out Rimuru in RTA, trying to kind of figure out exactly what types of teams he works best in. So we're bringing him in right now with Emilia, pushing him up, giving him attack buff, and trying to see how much damage he can do. Again, from my previous video, he still is, I guess, on a budget, meaning 0 Molas. And we're trying to see how far we can get without actually giving him skill ups, right? So as you can see there, we did some decent amount of damage to someone that's very, very tanky, right? And then, you know, once they hit us, we're able to get a counter off of his S2. We're able to take, I think, that immunity. I think there was an immunity there. But you know, the big thing here is getting the defense break on that APOC Remy allows us to just deal insane amounts of damage, blow her up, as well as the main damage sharing unit on their team, and then that's pretty much GG, right? So that's kind of the support that he brings, that defense break on the S3, but then at the same time, you know, they're bringing in the Emilia with the Straze on this one. We don't have a lot of damage mitigation. So once that Straze goes, our FCC just gets destroyed, right? We don't have any way to follow that up since we don't have him super fast. You know, we're not going to do that much damage on this one. You know, we were trying to take the invincibility or copy the invincibility, but you know, that's kind of the downside, is if the opposing team doesn't have too many buffs, then you can't really copy anything, right? So on this one, Carrot goes, we're able to get the defense break on the APOC Ravi. I think we should have probably brought the LQC again, because again, getting the defense break, and then we could have gone with the LQC, nuked out that APOC Ravi. She pretty much just provides a lot of support for the entire team, because she ends up, I think, bringing back the Straze, and that's kind of the thing about not having skill ups, right? Once we go with our Rimuru, you know, we don't deal enough damage with the S1, even though he has attack buff. You know, he would still gain a lot more damage from getting those skill ups on the S1. You'll see the Straze go here, and he pretty much chunks us down by a huge amount, strips all of our buffs, which again, Rimuru does need in order to deal more damage on the S3. You know, he gives himself the resist buff here, but on the opposing team, 2 nukes incoming, as long as the Carrot goes down, and then the APOC Ravi has the S3 to bring back somebody. And then Rimuru just doesn't really do anything else after that, right? Because he's just going to get one-shotted here, and then it's just GG, right? So that's something to keep in mind. You know, if you're bringing him, I think he works really well on counter teams. You'll see that here. So on this one, it's a full counter team. They got Rem, SSB, they got Belian on there. So he's going with the S2, proccing the counter when someone else is attacked, or with an enemy that is attacked, or that attacks with buffs, right? That's what it has to be. He doesn't deal insane amounts of damage here, does 8k on the Ravi, but you know, the counters are what destroy us here. We brought in Landy, right? Because we're thinking, okay, we'll bring in Landy, we can get countered on the S3, but yeah, it's just a bad time after this, because we're doing a lot of AoE with the forehead here, and then we just continue to get countered like crazy, which feels bad for us, but you know, that's just the way that these units work, which is yeah, it's not a great state of the game right now because of all these counters, all these units that can counter. But you know, I think that he did provide at least some support, even though he didn't land those defense breaks, because we all had immunity. I think Rem just kind of took over there after that. On this one here, we're bringing him in against water units. So Cerise is kind of holding off the S3 because we got our boy ML Kawazu, right? ML Kawazu is preventing the S3 from this Fairy Tail 10A and from the Straze. The Emilia here has a choice to push up, but once this Landy goes, our ML Kawazu is going to push up and then nuke someone out. You know, that's why I mentioned counters, right? If you're bringing him in with other units that counter, his potential to deal insane amounts of damage just skyrockets, right? Because you're consistently hitting them and being able to steal buffs, proc your own buffs, deal damage, and it can just be insane. On this one, we're going up against Rimuru on the opposing side. It's kind of like Cleave, so like Bruiser Cleave-ish. I guess they're bringing him in to try to cleave with Rimuru. One of his drawbacks, or I guess a potential way to counter him though, is going to be stripping and placing unbuffable, right? Because he relies heavily on buffs, but he can still deal damage on the S2, as you can see there, almost taking out the Bazaar. The good thing is we have him somewhat tanky, and you know, once the Rimuru goes, I think this Rimuru's also like Bruiser, like Bruiserish. He crits the fire unit and deals 11k damage, right? That's kind of insane. We're able to slightly recover. Again, control, strips, removing buffs. Those are going to be the best ways to deal with him. There were a couple of players that started bringing in like Briar Witchesaria, so you might see her a bit more now because she can go before him and potentially other units on your team to strip, attack, break, and then deal some damage. You'll see here that you know, once he's gone, we're able to recover. I think if we wouldn't have been able to take out the Rimuru, you know, he would have just been consistently applying buffs on himself and then providing that support with the S3. But Spec 10A here is able to take care of things. This ML Charles dealt pretty decent damage, but you know, we're able to outlast. And you know, Rimuru, I don't know if he really brought too much to that team. I think that if you were to bring him in as a cleave, he would need to be built full damage, right? Instead of kind of bruiserish. I think if you build him full damage, you know, max skill ups, plus 15 skill ups, then he would have potentially nuked out maybe the Bazaar on this side. But you know, after this, that ML Charles, he only has an S3. That AoEs every other hit that he does is just single target, so we're able to take him out with the Spec 10A. We're bringing him in with Belian. This is another counter to our boy Rimuru, and it's going to be the speed one-shot, right? The speed one-shot and counters. So Violet right now is very prominent in RTA, pretty much anyone, right? And so Rimuru can get countered. Even though we have him built somewhat tanky, you'll see here he really does nothing. He does apply the defense break on everybody, but after that we don't have a follow-up. We just get stripped completely here, and then it's pretty much GG. On the next one here, we're going up against another Violet Belian combo. So again, bringing him in with other units that counter, that strip. You know, it's, you know, I would think that with Belian on the same team, he wouldn't work because, again, you want buffs on the opposing team, but, you know, he still does a decent amount of damage here and still provides support. So you'll see him, most of the Rimurus that I went up against in RTA were built Bruiserish. You'll see that one do almost 15k damage to the APOC rep. We're able to kind of come back here, I believe. You know, we got the Landy, can get countered on the S3, even though I've noticed that, you know, I don't know if it's just me, but I think Rimuru counters on a Landy S3. I think that's what I've seen so far. I don't know if that's intentional. Maybe it's just because of how he works. It's not a counter. I'm not too sure. Let me know if you've seen the same interaction. You know, maybe it's just me. Maybe I've been just traumatized by all these counters. But you'll see here that we do get kind of controlled by that Belian. But you know, once we're able to recover here, it's pretty much GG, right? So we took out the Rimuru. After he went, he pretty much didn't do anything else. They're just kind of relying on the counters here. We're able to get lucky with a dual attack there. But this Belian, you know, counters those double procs, just providing a lot of support and damage for the team. This one could potentially turn into a Violet solo. Again, counters I think work really well with him, or bringing units that counter, just because it's a lot of damage going in on your end, right? If you're facing up against that. But we're able to recover here, able to S3 the Belian. We can revive the Landy, and then it's 4 against 1. Violet's just such an insane unit right now. You know, if you haven't built your Violet yet, you know, try to get on that, because he's kind of insane, especially if you're working towards RTA. Just an insane unit. Almost picked 100% of the matches that I went up against, but because he is such a great unit. You'll see again here, this is kind of like another cleave. I mean, I guess you can call it a cleave. So that Rose is gonna go first, right? And then push everybody up, give everybody attack buff. And then they got Rem, Violet counters. I think this was more of a Rem showcase. You know, it's really tough to deal with a Rem, right? Especially when they pick Rem and Violet. And then they're, you know, we had to let Rimuru through because we want to see what he can do. And we just get blown up by this Violet. And it's the defense break, right? That's huge. He hits us for like 60k or something here, 50k. It's kind of insane. But Rimuru's bringing in that defense break, right? And again, we're going up against Rem, but we did bring Rimuru this time around. We're able to pick him. You know, we couldn't, so we have to first pick him. Otherwise, we just couldn't get him through. But you'll see here, we actually copy the defense buff, which is really nice. And we're able to go with the S3, land the defense breaks on, if anyone, we landed on the APOC Ravi. So that way, when our LQC goes, we're able to hit her for big amounts of damage. Even though our LQC is on like Pepega gear, you know, she's not that great gear right now, because we moved some of her gear to Rimuru just because they share the same stat line. But you'll see here, we're on what, 6 stacks of Hell Cutter. Even though we don't hit for that much, you know, splash damage is still able to kind of get through. And then we just blow everybody else up, and then it turns into a Rem V4 solo dolo almost, and you'll see how broken Rem is right now. So we're trying to recover here. We're gonna go with the S3. You know, even if we would have done S1, we 100% would have probably still procced the counter. She goes with the S3 here, starts stripping our buffs. The good thing is we have at least one grass unit, so there's still that 50-50 shot that Rimuru gets missed on, but you know, of course, doesn't miss on the Rimuru. We get decreased hit chance. She starts countering again. Rimuru here, this is where I would have loved to have put him on a counter set, right? Because all of these hits, you know, Rem is just pretty much soloing our entire team. Here on the S1, you know, we're able to crit even though we had the blind, but again, 0 skill ups means not that much damage, which could have allowed us to take her out sooner. I think the Rem here should have gone on the FCC, guaranteed the kill, healed up even more. But again, you know, we're finally able to follow up and finish that out. But Rem is broken, you know, even though Rimuru is Earth, you know, you would think he'd be a counter to her, but hey, you know, it is what it is. Here is our boy Rem, still on no skill ups, 203 speed, 14k HP, 1.2k defense, 3200 attack, 100 crit, 269 crit damage, attack imprint. He's been pretty good. I think I really like him. I like the copy buffs. You know, if you bring him with other units that counter, I think it's just, it feels bad getting countered every single turn. It's definitely not what I would want to play in RTA, that's for sure. But hey, if it works, why not, right? So I think right now he is pretty strong. I think he will benefit from getting those Molas on the S2 and the S3 for sure. You know, of course, if you can plus 15 him, that's going to be great. But you saw my experience. Rem and Violet are everywhere, and then now another unit that counters. You know, it's definitely a feels bad, but hey, we got to make do, right? So we got to start building fire units. I don't know what we got to do, but that's going to be it for me. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like always, if you haven't enjoyed the video, hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hey, think about subscribing. It really helps the channel grow and reach more people like you who like content like this. Like always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.